Once again, you are welcome to the 10th edition of the Leadership Breakfast under the theme Sustaining Vision, Building Resilience in Challenging Times. Can you put your hands together for yourself? Yes. Okay, so once again, we are going to start with a brief introduction of yourself. You just tell us your name, the organization you represent, and your expectations.
I'm Reverend Buea, Senior Pastor of the Lord Church. I'm a certified conflict management person and a trainer of young entrepreneurs. I think that, like you asked, my expectations here is to be empowered, and I'm ready. So I'm a whole student.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm Gamileno and I'm representing Excellence International Group. I actually want to learn how to navigate through challenging moments as a princess. So I'm just ready to grab all knowledge as well.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Nainse Dina. I'm representing Excellence International Group. And as for my expectations, I want to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you.
I'm Nicole Busiano, and I represent Zoe Communications. The guys taking all these pictures. So I'm expecting good pictures and I'm expecting to learn a lot. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Doris Ngo. I'm the Executive Director of Royalty World. I'm representing Royalty World, Rhino Cameroon, and I'm expecting to learn how to stand and stay focused on the goals in spite of circumstances. As the theme says, how do I build resilience in the midst of challenges?
THC, I work with Center for Economic Development. I came here to be empowered on leadership.
I'm Suzanne Njema. I'm in corporate leadership. I just came here to be inspired.
I'm called Enya Precious. I'm a student. I came here to learn and be empowered.
I'm Finila Quincy. I'm actually not from any organization. I just came to learn and be inspired.
I'm called Ifufa Immaculate. I'm a communication specialist. And I'm here today to just build connections and be inspired and motivated by so many other people. Thank you.
I'm Musoke Lucas Bionga. I'm here to learn. Thank you very much.
Laye Mbunkur is my name. I work with Blue Moon. We help businesses grow. Of course, I'm here to meet new people, to learn, and to be part of a community of people who want to make things happen. Thank you.
Madam Annette Bache, the president of Rema Foundation. I'm so excited to be here. We've really been waiting in fact, we've missed this for so long, and I'm so excited to be part. I'm so expectant. I know that I'm going to be fired up today. Thank you very much.
Father, we give you thanks and praise for this day. We thank you, Lord Jesus, because you have brought us from far and near for purposes that we might not have even understood. Thank you, Lord, for making us part of this building process for the nation and for the nations of the world. Thank you because, Lord, you are building leaders, Lord, that will affect generations to come. Thank you, Father, for every presentation, every word that is here, every new connection, the networking, and everything that is going to take place in this place. We say, oh Lord, that we cannot leave this place the same. We are going back, Lord, energized before we come again next month. Thank you for in Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
Greet three people that you do not know and tell them, I'm happy to meet you today. And I hope that we are going to network, we're going to learn. Come on, just greet somebody beside you. Somebody you do not know. Three people you do not know. Yes, I'm happy to see you. I know you. I don't know you are that Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm happy to meet you.
Oh my God. I'm happy to meet you today. I look forward to learning from you. I'm happy to meet you today. Man of God.
I'm excited.
All right. I love the atmosphere now. I love the atmosphere now.
Ladies, I'm happy to.
Okay, great to see you. Okay, the atmosphere. Please put your hands together on a clap. I'm clapping for me.
I'm so grateful for this opportunity that we have every quarter, and I want to start by giving honor to whom honor is due. Sometimes it's easy for us not to celebrate our own. It's easy for us to take it for granted. It's easy for us to look at, to get so familiar with gifts that God has placed in our midst. And we don't take enough time to celebrate ourselves. We don't take enough time to celebrate the work that we are doing for this nation and for the world. We don't take the time to actually go deep and recognize the fact that God has blessed us. And God's blessing to us is demonstrated in gifts that He gives to us. And these gifts are embodied in people. Can you please rise up for me and just honor the man of God, Silas Achu? This is an inspiration. I don't know whether you understand what I'm talking about. Please, can you do it like you really understand me? We don't take the time to celebrate our own. And I wonder whether we have these messages and things in places where we need to go back to and listen to them. Silas is one of the most insightful and deep people I know. He does not talk much, but the little he says, it penetrates you if you understand it and you can focus on it, because his words carry power and they carry weight. He is indeed leading and transforming a whole generation and leading us as a generation to lead from the heart. Sir, we honor you. Thank you so much for giving us this platform. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to be here. And thank you for all you do to redefine leadership, not just for this nation, but for Africa at large. Thank you. I'll not the Christ in you. Thank you so much. Can we be seated? Thank you so much. I had the privilege to be, to step my feet on in the place where for 500 years our ancestors were kept in unimaginable conditions of suffering. A 2x2 room where they packed 40 people who weighed at least 60 kilograms. 40 of them. Just enough space for the door to close. They had to make sure that the room was very packed. They separated them. The women were separated from the men. The children were separated from their mothers. Then the women were in two categories. The virgins were in another category. They became the masters of the slave master. They became the mistresses of the slave masters because they still had firm breasts. They were still very, very juicy. And so they were the marketing tools for the slave masters. They were molested. They lived in conditions that I really don't want to go into the depths. Food, did everything, all kinds of diseases that accompanies that in the same place. And guess what? You were not allowed to be sick for the 3 months that they were kept there while waiting for them to go. You were not allowed to be sick because when you were sick, you were rolled up and you were thrown into the sea. Human beings, that's our ancestors, black skin. These people called Africans. When I reflect on that and I think about today's theme, there was a door I saw and it said it's the door of no return. So when you pass through that door, from the minute you passed through that door, your name was changed. You were given another name, you had to take another name. So your identity was crushed. And you will not see your father and your mothers again because there was a separate, the men had to go to South America because of the kind of work that was awaiting them there. The women had to go to North America and then the children had to go somewhere else. So all the family was separated. There was a divide and rule. I also got to understand in reading African history and seeing the African history going around that room in what they call House of Slaves, Maison des Esclaves in Buea, Senegal. I went through that and I saw African history and I realized that we used to be just 10 kingdoms, but today we are 54 states. There is a reason for that. They came here because they saw a people that were all powerful. There is something about the black race. We are a powerful people. We are blessed to have the most gifted communities. We are blessed to have the richest resources. And when I say resources, I mean, first of all, human resources and natural resources, all in the same continent. But one thing is that we have been taught a lie with limiting beliefs that has held us back from making progress, because we have thought that it's only what comes from outside that is valuable. And we have not celebrated ourselves enough, which is why I started by us celebrating our leader. Because we need to understand the importance of us celebrating ourselves. Because in that place, I asked myself the question, how did we get to the place where somebody walked into our house? And what did they tell us that we got to the point where we could sell one another and subject one another to those kinds of conditions? What happened? If we don't go and dig into our history, we will not know how to change the narrative properly. And we must change this narrative, and that is why we come here every single quarter to gather to strengthen ourselves. Because the journey of building Africa is not an individual journey. It's not something that will be done by one person. We must learn how to connect, how to work together. We must learn how to appreciate, collaborate, and not compete with one another. We all are unique in our own ways, and we all are unique, and we all have what the next person needs. And if we can learn how to connect together and work together, we will build a continent that even if they shut our borders, the rest of the world will die, but Africa will survive. I believe that. We have what it takes, guys. We are the most resilient people because the conditions we were subjected under for 500 years was enough to extinct this race. The suffering, the heartbreak of those of us who were left behind to see our family members go, but yet we have stood strong. And I am glad because I believe there is a generation that is rising up. And we are part of that generation that is saying we are going to rewrite our story. We are going to dig our history. We are not who they say we are. They didn't tell us about the Mensa Moses. We were not poor people. I'm sorry, we are not. Because our currency is not backed by, it's backed by true, real gold. Even if we don't have the money, we can go to the farms and it comes out. Yeah. But that thing's paper is fiat. It will go anywhere, anytime. It's not backed up. But we have the real currency. Our real currency is the wealth that we have. And as entrepreneurs and as leaders, each and every one of us, God has given us a vision. And we started this leadership breakfast by looking at the power of vision. We've talked about aligning with our team. Last time we focused a lot on how do we align with our team so that we can be able to sustain the organizations and the visions that God has given us. God has given each one of us a vision. And I pray that today, somebody's vision somebody who had given up on their vision will pick up that vision again. I'm very happy when my sister introduced herself as the president of Rema Foundation. It put some joy in my heart because for some reason I was praying today and I was thinking to myself, Rema Foundation. Yesterday actually, I thought about Rema Foundation and I'm like, and ladies that need to be trained in catering, and I think that vision is coming back alive. We come here so that we can be awakened. We come here so that we can be reminded of that which God has shown us, God has given us. And those visions, they have the power to overcome every challenge and every adversity. So we are going to learn, and I believe that today we have the best that will speak to us. We have the best that would inspire us, that will train us today on how do we, because it's a skill. We need to learn, it's a skill. How do you stay resilient? Trust me, when you start that vision, there are going to be challenges, and we all know that. But how do you sustain vision in the midst of contradictions, in the midst of challenging circumstances? Our environment in itself is challenging. The atmosphere in itself is like, for some reason, but I understand it. Our identity was hugely tampered with. For 500 years, we were put in a room where we know that we don't have space. How can we think? But guess what? God is good, and we are still waking up. And that is why I believe that today we are all going to be inspired, and we have the finest that will speak to us today.
One more time, give it up for Mother.
Yeah, so it's quite an honor to be here to share with you again about why we're here and the essence of the theme for this edition of the Leadership Breakfast. Last edition, we were talking about running with vision, and we did share a lot about and what it takes, and we had a lot of conversation. I remember we had Dr. Abai here, and he was sharing some very interesting things, and people were just shouting in the hall. And but he's not here with us today, but we will still have an amazing time. I can assure you that. Yeah. So right away, I'll go straight into this for the next 30 minutes, just to set the stage before we get into the conversation. We'll also have, of course, Mr. Laye will come up and talk to us a little bit about the different stages that a business goes through, because we're talking about resilience both from as a person and then resilience from an organizational point of view. So why is this topic really important? So why is this really important for okay, good. So I want to start with the statistics. So when I was preparing for this, I did a little research, and I found that from a research done by Harvard Business Review that 70% of leaders struggle to maintain your vision each time you're faced with a challenge. If you're a visionary here and you've ever started something, are you among that 70%? Because me, I'm inside that 70%. Who is in the 30 year? We don't struggle. Yeah, you see, 70% of leaders struggle to maintain your vision during times of crisis. When there is a crisis, when there is a challenge, a great number of people struggle to maintain your vision. A great number of people struggle. I don't know where that other 30% comes from, but I like to be in that 30%, and that's why we are talking about the subject of resilience. Also, according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, it says 50% of startups fail within the first 5 years. All right, often due to a lack of resilience, planning, and market fit. Now that's in the U.S. I can imagine the percentage in Cameroon. So Laye will give us that percentage. In the larger context of an organization, lower productivity. So, not being able or not having resilience as a leader or even as an organization can lead to lots of negative consequences. And I want to talk a little bit about stress and burnout, because as leaders, that's something that we struggle with a lot. That's something that every leader has to deal with, the issue of stress and burnout. Here is the percentage, the recovery rate from burnout for leaders. Right? It is statistically established that only 20% of people who experience burnout recover, fully recover. Only 20% recover. And then only 60% will get out of the burnout. Right? They get out of it, but they don't fully recover. Right? But 20% remain stuck in burnout. 20% remain stuck. So when you experience high stress in your business, at the point where you feel like you're just going to burn out. So who has you have experienced that? You feel like you're going to give up, you're going to finish. Oh, okay, good. Then we're in the right meeting. So yeah, this is why this subject of resilience is very important. How do you sustain your vision in the midst of challenges? There needs to be an intentionality in it. Because Like, it's one thing to have this great vision that you're already running towards, but if you don't understand how to maintain resilience in the face of challenges, you won't succeed. I mean, preparing me for this edition of the breakfast, there were lots of things that we're trying to challenge success. Okay? Like now. Alright? Like now. You know, there are lots of things that we're trying to challenge success. The crisis, the lockdown, everything, you know. And at one point I was like, oh, maybe we should push it to another day. I'm like, which day in this world has there not been a crisis? You know? Which day has there been not something that will give you a reason not to do what you want to do? There's always something. And so, but then, if you don't have a resilient attitude, if you don't develop resilience as a leader, things always fall apart. And so, why is it important for us to have resilience? Because when you're resilient, you're able to actually experience satisfaction in the work. You need to be resilient for that to happen. Because a resilient leader will help even the team they are working with. If you as a leader, you are not resilient, your team will suffer from disengagement. Because if you break down, what happens to your team? They break down. Alright? If you break down, your team will break down. So leaders who demonstrate resilience actually are more likely to create a positive environment for the team, for those that they work with. And of course, your resilience will also help you to maintain an overall positive well-being, a good well-being. Because we can't really manage our teams, we can't really lead in the way we want to lead if we don't have that stamina as a leader. If our own well-being is not intact. That's why it's so important to develop this, understand this topic. And of course, it leads to better leadership effectiveness. Because when you're able to build your resilience as a leader, you become more effective. Even in the midst of challenges, you become generally more effective. Alright. And also, so another thing is that because of your resilience, it's also possible for people to trust you, because you understand that no matter what, you always be present, you always be there. So if you want people to be able to trust you, you must also develop your resilience as a leader. How many of you know people that just because they are always able to pull through challenges, you feel more comfortable with them? Yeah. Right? We feel more comfortable with leaders that are able to overcome challenges. Because those are leaders that have developed their resilience. So that and you believe more in the vision that they have. Because you've seen them stand even when things are good and when things are bad. Yeah. They are always there. So you trust them because you have not seen them give up at the sight of any the least challenge they give up, or they burn out or they break. And that's why it's so important. And also, as such, the other thing also is that once you're able to build your resilience, you are able to adapt. Because being resilient means that you know how to adapt to changing circumstances while still maintaining your vision, while still maintaining your plan, as opposed to being able to just breaking down because something came against the vision that you have. Alright? And now, how do you then develop this resilience? Because I'm sure that's a question that is in your mind. Okay, when we're talking about resilience, how do you develop this resilience? And that's what I want to talk about in the next few minutes. So I have 7 factors I want to talk about very quickly. 7 factors that are necessary for you to become resilient. That's something I came across a few years ago, and I've been trying to practice. And I've seen that it actually works. So, 7 things I want us to talk about now. They might seem very simple, but they can have a profound impact on your resilience as a leader. They might seem very simple. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I call it factor number 1, which is reconciling with your past. Alright? Reconciling with your past. What does that mean? When I ask if any of you have experienced challenges before, almost everybody's hand was up, right? You've probably experienced a challenge, you've experienced disappointment, failure, all of that. Now the question is, did you ever reconcile with that failure? Did you ever reconcile with that disappointment, with that hurt? Because that's one of the first things you do to become resilient as a leader. You must reconcile with the past. If something went wrong in the past, if you experienced failure or defeat or something, you've got to reconcile with that. Why is that important? If you don't reconcile with the past, you're going to carry the baggage of the past into the present, and it's going to make it very difficult for you to deal with present circumstances. Let me illustrate that in the story. I was working with a team once, and because of one thing or the other, we lost a deal, we lost the contract we were working towards, right? After we had done all the work that we had to do, did all the paperwork, and the client was very positive, or really ready to sign this deal, and then because of one technicality on our part, and it was mostly because of my boss at the time, we lost the contract. And then that passed. Few months later, I'm having a conversation with the staff, and then I realized that people are beginning to feel discouraged, people are beginning to feel disengaged, people are beginning to lose. I think one of the staff was even planning to resign. So I was wondering what was going on. I started having this one-on-one conversation with each staff just to find out where they are. People had different issues, but I found out that for one of them, because we lost that contract, they were very discouraged. They were very discouraged with their business as a whole, and were giving up. They felt like we did all that work and then we did not succeed, so their motivation was down. Then I realized that we have not reconciled with the defeat that we experienced, and now it was affecting our present decision. And so if any little challenge that came into the present became a huge one, right? So even when we experienced a difficulty, it looked like it became bigger than what it was because they were carrying lots of baggage. So one of the first things you must learn to do as a leader is that you must learn to reconcile with your past. Sometimes situations might not be as bad as they look. But they look so bad not because they are bad. They look so bad because you are carrying baggage of the past into it. You're carrying baggage from the past into it, and so it makes you now less resilient to the challenge. So as leaders, we must learn to reconcile with the past failures, past hurts, past disappointment. And what does that look like? It looks like forgiving yourself and forgiving others. How often do you forgive yourself? It sounds very simple, right? But it can have it can have a huge effect on your effectiveness. So you must learn to reconcile with your past. It's going to give you emotional stability. Because without emotional stability, you can't deal with the challenges that come your way as an entrepreneur, as a leader. So that's one very, very important factor that you need to adopt as a leader. Constantly learning to forgive, and when you do that, you realize that you become less judgmental. You don't easily get offended because you don't carry stuff into the past. You don't carry stuff from the past into the present. Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah. So make it as a commitment today that as a leader, I will not trivialize challenges, but I will not carry them to the past. If I experience failure, if I experience a defeat, I'll make sure I reconcile it. Maybe I did something wrong, and then that's why we did not have things to go well. I have to forgive myself and forgive. Or maybe somebody did something that led to a challenge. I have to forgive them as well because it frees me. It helps me to have the emotional stability Okay. Then the second factor, all right. The second factor is called realistic optimism. All right. The second factor about how to become a resilient leader is realistic optimism. I'm going to explain this. What does it mean to have realistic optimism? I mean, the words themselves. It's always good to be positive, right? It's always good to be optimistic, right? But you need to, but as a leader, there's such a thing as realistic optimism. And let me illustrate this with an example that I came across. It is said that during the Vietnam War, lots of American soldiers were put in camps, right? I'm sure most of us are aware with this whole America has so many wars, but Vietnam War is a notable one. Now, when the soldiers were put in the camp, it was discovered that those that were very pessimistic about their situation, like when those that felt like, oh, we are done, our life is over, we are finished, nothing's going to, we're going to die, they actually died early. Right? Those that were very, very pessimistic about their situation, they had no hope, they actually died early. Then there was another set of people that were very optimistic. They were saying stuff like, don't worry, we'll come out of this place in the next 2 days. We'll leave this place in the next month. By Sunday, we'll be out of here, you know. They were very confident, like, after 1 week, we'll be out. Then 1 week passed, nothing has changed. They said, no, it's okay. In a month's time, we'll be out of here. 1 month passes, nothing happens. That Sept also died. You're wondering, what's going on? You know, the Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick, right? That Sept also, of those people, also among the set that gave up early. Now there was a third set of people. They were not pessimistic about the situation. They were honest about where they were. They were honest about the situation in which they found themselves. But at the same time, they were positive. They knew that they would come out. They knew that this thing would turn out right. But they did not have an unrealistic expectation as to when it will happen. But they had a positive outlook. They knew that this might take a while. So, but then we are looking forward to something beautiful in here. We don't know how long it's going to take. It might take us 2 days, it might take us 2 years. But we'll maintain, we'll maintain ourselves. We'll just be positive, be hopeful, and just trust that things will work out eventually. Those are the ones that were able to stay longer in those camps and did not break up. And that's what we mean by having realistic optimism. I know we're full of faith, So these are my sound very counter, like, what do you mean? You mean that you don't have faith? That no, it's not. You need to understand, right? I like this quote by Bill Johnson. He says that faith does not deny a problem's existence.
True.
It just denies its influence. All right. So having faith does not mean you deny that. You try to ignore that you have a problem. No, that's where that other group were. They were making us say they don't know where they were, and thinking that they'll just come up. No, I'm aware I'm in a very difficult situation. True, but I'm also aware that there's still a possibility that can come up. There's still a possibility that things can turn out right. I still believe that no matter how bad it is, we can still come out of this place. Right? That is being realistic. That's what I call realistic optimism. Does this make sense at all?
Yes, sir.
That is how you build your resilience leader. That's how you need to prepare yourself. It's something that I found very interesting, but I'm learning to understand, because sometimes because maybe we have experienced defeat before, we don't hope again. Right? We edit our expectations, we don't have any dream, but then we have now fallen into that category of the pessimist. We will still die. And then the other time we're like, no, just make as if there's no problem. You can ignore it, make it as if you're not in a crisis zone, like you're not in it, and just try to ignore and no. You might just get out there and get shot. But then realistic optimism says that listen, hey, things are bad, but we can still work it out, right? There's still a possibility for us to make something. And here's the effect of this. When you start acting like this, you start looking for opportunities in the challenge. So rather than ignoring the challenge, you start looking for opportunity in the challenge. So what's the opportunity? Okay, this is a difficult story. What's the opportunity here? And that changes your perspective, you know. And of course, then there are other practical ways to do that is that you begin to practice gratitude. Now, things are not as bad as they are, but there's a lot to be grateful for. At least I'm not dead yet. So let me be grateful for that. As long as I'm alive, there's still a possibility that something good can come out of this situation. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know when, but I'm positive. Alright? And then you say you can use humor to put the situation into perspective. You know, how do you... I was sharing this thing a few weeks back about the story of Nelson Mandela, how though he was in prison, he had a very interesting way of overcoming challenges. I shared a story about how he was in the last prison before he left Fort Dragonstein, and he wanted firewood because the place was cold, and then he requested from the warden, and the warden refused, that they would not give him the wood. Now, I don't understand, but the story goes that since they refused the wood, he didn't give up. He said, okay, fine, you will not give me wood. So when the doctor came to consult him, he told the doctor that, please, can you prescribe firewood as a medication for me? Yeah, because he said, and the doctor prescribed firewood. Because he knew that a prescription from a doctor was as binding as a legal document. So they could not refuse what the doctor prescribed. So the doctor prescribed him firewood and he got it. So you understand? That's he was positive in a very strange way. Like he didn't make a fuss about the fact that they refused to give him the firewood. He just thought of a more creative way of getting it, without making a big deal of it. And who would have thought that he would have received firewood as a prescription? Looking for opportunities in the stress. Looking for opportunities in the challenge. Alright? So that's one very powerful principle. And then the third one is problem-solving competence. To be resilient, you must be able to think clearly. Alright? You must be able to analyze problems systematically. I used to say that there's a difference between reacting to things emotionally and reacting to things logically. Right? Dealing with the emotions has a lot to do with the first factor that we spoke about. Right? But then when it comes to solving the problem, you must learn to think clearly, systematically. Right? Yes, I might feel pain, I might feel hurt, I might feel a particular advice situation. That's it, I can reconcile with that, but then the problem itself is still there. So I need to learn to think clearly, right? Resilient means that you can think clearly, you are better able to analyze symptoms and causes of stressful situations as well as think situations more easily. So one of the ways is that learn to think, to analyze things clearly. That's one of the ways to build resilience as a leader. Number 4, working with your skills, or I also like to say strengths. Now this one also is very interesting. When I came across it, it says that if you arrange your work and your private life in a way that you employ your intrinsic skills at least 1% of the time, you will feel much more in your element. Let me explain that. There are things that we enjoy doing without need for external motivation. True or false? What is me saying is that arrange your work and your life in such a way that at least a certain percentage of what you do are those kind of things. Because with those, when you do those kind of things, it's very difficult to be influenced by external factors. Because there are things you enjoy doing, whether you are paid or not, whether things are good or not, you should just do these things because you enjoy doing it. Alright? It's the difference between, they don't pay me today, so I'm not going to work. I was supposed to, see, I enjoy doing this work, whether they pay me or not. I get joy in the work itself. So, do you get joy in the things you do? Do you derive joy from the work itself, apart from the fact that there are some external benefits attached to it? So, the idea is that you need to balance both external and internal motivations. Your life should not just be driven by things that are externally driven. All your motivation should not be external. The promotion, the salary, the accolades, all of those things might disappear. And when those things disappear, you become a high stress person because things are stressing you. Oh, I'm not getting all that Z, I'm not getting all of that, and now it becomes difficult for you to address things properly. And then the fifth one is discipline. Of all these things I've said, if you don't have this one, you will not be able, right? You need the discipline to implement this. A structured approach to challenges. And one of the ways to do that is to establish routines, right? Is to establish routines. I learned this, in fact, I used to know this was important, but I learned this was really, really important recently. That it's important to have healthy routines. Routines around your health, around your eating, around many things. And I also learned something about even doing exercise. Sometimes doing exercise is a way of instilling discipline in yourself. Right? And when you begin to instill that discipline, it also helps you to become more confident of yourself. Right? When you are able to be disciplined in maybe in your eating, in your health, in your exercise, it sends a message to your mind that you're good. I'm sure those who do sports regularly can attest to that. You just feel good about yourself. So it's really difficult for somebody to stress you. Right? Yeah. So that was a very important discovery that I should be doing this sports a bit more often, because if I just finish doing 100 push-ups in the next few minutes, do you think you can discourage me about anything? I just completed a very amazing feat. So I feel good about myself. Yeah. So that's something I discovered about how you can instill discipline. Just the fact that I can do that means I can do other things. And so it reduces the ability for me to be easily stressed out about things. Yeah. I'm sure there's some boundaries to events. I don't know that. And then the sixth one is self-awareness. Alright? Finding meaning in your experiences enhance perspective and also recognizing and understanding your emotions. So that's another part where you're able to understand your emotions. Now, a resilient leader is someone that can experience all different spectrum of emotions and yet can pinpoint a specific emotion that others may be really like. So I could be here and at the same time I'm happy and sad and angry and confused and hopeful. All at the same time. Are you that aware? Can you at some point in time say that, currently I'm experiencing like a cocktail of emotions? And I can pinpoint, I can tell you which of them. I can tell you where each of the emotions, what is content of each of those emotions. You see, this stress is coming from there. This hope is because I'm seeing this one. This anger is based on me. I can tell you that I'm aware. And I know where the emotions, what is triggering them. And that can help you to manage it well. I know whether it's this light thing that is making me to feel grumpy, or is this whole thing that is this. So you need to be able to understand. That's what I mean by being self-aware. Like for example, since you woke up, can you tell me the amount of emotions I've experienced since you woke up? Do you know how many I've experienced? Yeah? I have experienced hope, joy, frustration, pain, anger, joy, happiness. I've experienced all of those emotions since morning, and we are not yet at midday. Alright, so that's what self-awareness is. And the last one is healthy relationships. This one is very important. Most times, some of the negative stress factors in our lives as a result of the unhealthy relationships that we keep. Right. So, if you don't deal with some of those hurtful relationships, they just increase the stress in your life and make you less resilient. Okay? But when you have strong social support, when you have a strong, healthy relationship, it actually helps you to deal with other stressful situations. Right? It's true. Sometimes, just a conversation with Mommy Doris is enough to deal with the frustration that is coming from someone else. Yeah. True or false? True. You understand? So you need to understand. Sometimes just Pastor Eric's loud and about nature is enough to just drown the noise around. So, and that's resilient. As a leader, don't underestimate those things. They are very important. Very important. Those relationships can be the make or break for you. You might have been coming here and things were not going fine, and then you meet the wrong person who takes it from bad. And you're like, you know what, I just go from this thing. Alright? Or you meet a Mobidoris and says, guys, forget it. This is gonna happen. Alright? So or you meet a pastor that says, man, let's pray. You know? Yeah. See, what prayer cannot do more prayer? So but you need health. What I'm saying is that you need healthy relationship, right? Yes. So it's important to address the negative relationship dynamics in your life. Those are factors as a leader, as a person, that you need to build to become more resilient. Those are factors that you need to build. So, and that's what I'm going to end with. As a recap, as I said, reconcile with your past, very important. All of us have experienced pain, disappointment, failure in the past. You know, like I will tell you how the number of businesses that he has started. I cannot start the number of businesses who have started and failed. You know, I remember the time that we worked with our own group and we so failed that one of my friends packed and went back to the village. You know, I remember that I was so discouraged that even when somebody came to me and said, please, let's do business, I'll give you everything, I'll give you all the money. I said, I don't want to hear. Don't mention it. You not started business with nothing. Now that you have all the resources available, you are not motivated to start. So it's important to always reconcile your past. All of us will experience disappointment and failure at some point. But it's okay, it's part of life. Make sure you intentionally reconcile. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. So that you can be emotionally stable to address the future with confidence. And then have realistic optimism, alright? Like I said, don't deny the problem's existence, but don't accept its influence. Alright? Yes, acknowledge the problem, but also acknowledge that you can do something about it positively. But yeah, and of course, learn, and that should also lead to being able to now solve the problem systematically. Build that ability to address problems systematically, and then learn to also make sure that you do things from the area of your strength, working with your skills, your interesting skills. And discipline. The discipline, you need to also do these things consistently because it's not something to do once. You have to do it consistently, and that builds resilience. And of course, I always talk about self-awareness, being able to understand where you are emotionally in the present moment, understanding where you are, and making sure that helps you to continue with your passion. And lastly, building healthy relationships. The people you have in your life can just be the difference maker in how resilient you are. And so, start implementing these factors today to build the resilience that will enable you to sustain your vision. Alright? So, thank you very much. In the next few minutes, we're going to hear more about building resilience as a business from Mr. Laye. Thank you very much for your attention. Give it up for my brother, Mac Alunge.
Hello! Step into the unknown, possess your own. It's time you go big or you just go home. Leave the math path, create your own path, break some old rules with a new type of school. Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Proceed and believe and you succeed indeed. Become the fearless version of you. This is no fight for victory, but a fight from victory. You don't have a gift, you are a gift, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. See, Zion, where we come from, we do not conform to the norm, we transform the norm. Our visions usually seem dumb, but we dance to the tune of another drum. Regardless of the size of the storm, we are more than able to reform. I don't care if you grew up in the slums. This will matter if you still feed on crumbs. For the uninformed will always be deformed, for the wealth of today is in knowledge form. This wisdom is not for some. It is dumb to be lukewarm, even dumber to run from the storm. It's time for a new norm, and that's why I perform, to inform and transform the lukewarm out of their norm. In Jesus' name. Thank you so much, Auntie Doris, Auntie Nicole, Auntie Annette, Pastor Silas. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to have your audience. Pastor Eric, you are so elegant today. So elegant. I mean, Uncle Laye, it's an honor. Sir, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll just go ahead and do the piece that I prepared for today. And in line with building resilience, in line with being able to sustain your vision, just in the spirit of the keynote speech, the amazing, incredible keynote speech by Pastor Silas, which I feel like we should give another hand, because I came late, but I was deeply inspired. I'm sure that I can get maybe the recording of it. So this is called I Am Future. I hope you listen to it, and I hope you're blessed in Jesus' name. Regardless of your skin texture, hearken to this lecture. Yes, you can build your own future, but with a dream, a mental picture. Use your mind as the perfect sculpture, then keep the dream alive and well nurtured. Rise above the limitations of culture. Do not be scared to start a new venture. Whatever gets broken, God will suture. He is your shepherd. He provides the pasture. Maybe your life was broken and ruptured. Probably on the way you obtained a fracture. So bad, real bad, it affected your posture. Now you work and work with a sickly gesture. Well, this journey might not always be filled with pleasure. You may not always be comfortable with leisure, but under the heat, the struggle and pressure, remember your goal, the final treasure. So as you begin this departure, remember that the enemy might come like a vulture. He may try his best to capture and torture, but stand firm in Christ, for winning is your nature. It is never too late to be what you might have been. The past is dead. It only lives if you give it life. Impossible is nothing but an opinion. And if your dreams don't scare you, they are simply not big enough. Nothing would happen until you make it happen. Success is a child of audacity, not just prophecy. Are you he who stares, or are you he who dares? You'll miss all the shots you never dare to take. Quit waiting for all conditions to be favorable. They will never be. Quit waiting for opportunity, because opportunity is all around you, waiting on you. If you want to get what you've never got, you're going to have to do what you've never done. If you are normal, you are not yourself. You are an active exclusion of the real you, caged by external opinion, lost in the quest to conform, trapped by the illusion of need, and snared by the need to please. Your uniqueness is your greatness. It's okay to look crazy, stupid, unrealistic, and wayward. Because sometimes crazy, stupid, unrealistic, and wayward is not bad. It is good. Because some of the greatest people who did the most remarkable things once looked crazy, stupid, unrealistic, and wayward. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here. I feel so privileged. As I'm introduced, my name is Laye. Because today, I have in the hall almost everybody that's part of the story. I'm going to be telling. Almost everybody is here. And also today, I have somebody whom so many years ago, sometime in 2004, when I did not even believe in myself, I never pictured myself one day talking in places like this, but they saw me at that time and believed in me, and their belief helped me to believe in myself. And since then, he has not left my side, always making sure at the right time he pops in to check on me and ensure that I'm going well, and chip in just one thing, that when he leaves, then you reflect on it 2 weeks after. then you get what he was saying. So I'm talking about the one and only Uncle George Mufo. The first time in my life I ever heard of a business plan was from him, and he was my first trainer on writing business plan. Okay, so today I'll be sharing a little about my life. Just keep it a little. I'll be sharing a little about my life and then bringing us to the topic on sustaining vision. So many years ago, I was so anxious about this thing called entrepreneurship. You know, in our secondary school, it was the first time in the country that we have counselors sent to secondary school, and these counselors were trying to remind us every day that the government cannot employ everybody. That if you want to be rich, start a business, create something. We are still finding out how true that is. And so when we finished upset, there was that passion of starting something. I remember giving a few trials before I met Pastor Silas. So we had a few trials. Left high school with a friend. We left from Buea. We saw how much plantain cars came and supplied the school, and we said, what if we got the contract to supply? So we went plantain business, poultry, cafe resto, carbon group, carbon. So within my lifetime, I happened to have founded or be co-founder of 14 different businesses, 14 different organizations, 9 of which failed like totally, but failing at different stages. Because when I started, I will fail. When I start the next one, I try to go one step further, I fail. I start the next one, and maybe go 1 2 steps further, I fail. Just like that till we started experiencing some which are succeeding and still alive today. So, but within this process, every time I failed, I studied management. I was so passionate about it. And I wanted to understand what's happening. Like, I'm trying to apply all the business plan theories and just everything I've read and trying to really do business conventionally, but yet facing a lot of challenges. And I was concerned it was going to be like businesses don't work again, especially what Pastor Silas is talking about. When we reached Carbon Group, I'm sure MTN did not have that kind of documentation when they started. I'm sure, because we had all that. We used 1 year to plan before starting. Yeah. 1 full year when we met regularly. Just the kind of documentation. I mean, our philosophy was a booklet. The philosophy of Carbon Group was a booklet. You needed to read pages to understand our mission, vision, values, and where we are coming from. Not to talk of the business plan. But yet, no matter putting in all this, had Silas Otto, the outstanding accountants to our generation and so on, the business managers, the marketers, no matter putting all this together, we still fail. We still fail. So that we push everybody to want to understand what's the mechanics. Is it even possible for you to bring visions to life? Is it even possible? Is this something we are missing out? Is there something we are missing now? What is that thing? So this research began. Of course, I love reading books, read a lot of books, did a lot of things, but at times I jump into companies to work. So within this, it was not just like starting businesses. When I start 1 2 fail, I jump and look for a job. I balance up a bit, I gather some energy. I say, okay, we can give it another try. 1 2 fail, I jump again into a job. So within this time, I've had the opportunity and the privilege to really work in organizations at different levels. And I came into the understanding that organizations or starting any vision In this case, I'm expanding it to anything that two or more people come together to start with a common goal. This includes a not-for-profit, this includes a church, this includes a school. I come to understand that it's the same pattern. It's just totally the same thing that they go through. And one of the things I came to understand is that it's not one level. What makes it the most challenging is that when you succeed at one level and graduate to the next level is totally different from the previous level. So it's like you are starting all again. And it's like a continuous restarting. That's why I tell people there's no school. There's no school as big as starting anything. And there's nothing as difficult in life like starting anything, any form of organization. There's nothing as difficult. It will put you to the true test of your stamina, of your abilities, of your capabilities. You face the real test. And that's why with my co-lecturer at the university, lecturing entrepreneurship, we are the number one today to tell students, don't start. At times, I've been invited to many entrepreneur events. I don't know whether I'm a motivational speaker or a demotivational speaker. But I go there to say, don't start a business. Work. Look for a job. You want to start? Okay. Look for a job. When you are 10 years in there, then you can think of starting. Look for the area you want to start. You want to start cosmetics. Beautiful. They come to me, coach me, do that's okay. Get the cosmetic, somebody who is excelling in that. Go work there, apply, volunteer, whatever, get in there. 5 years, then let's have this discussion of if you want to start. Some of them go away very angry at me, but you know. Okay, so coming back, if you have been in search and all the research I've done, I came to find out one thing that really resonated with what I think was the way out. And this is what I'm going to be sharing today. I would say, is a big finding of my life all this time. I've been doing all of this, as I say, since upset. I've been attempting to start businesses almost every year of my life. And to working with bigger organizations today, this is what I'm going to be sharing. This is my greatest research, it's my greatest findings. Of course, not originally my work, the work of other persons that have done such research. I've read so many models, but this explains to me best how you can launch a vision, sustain this vision, and grow this vision. And it explains to me best why some organizations fail, why some organizations succeed, and why some organizations even fail after having gathered a significant momentum. They were seen to be succeeding. Everybody saw that everything was going so well. And before we open our eyes, these organizations, the doors were shut. And nobody could understand what happened, you know, and this was able to explain to me. So I'll be talking about the predictable success model. And this to me, as I say, best explains everything that happens. So, permit my sketch. Some of us did not go to Neze too. So, when they were doing drawings, we were not there. So, permit my sketch. Yeah, it's okay. So, there are 7 stages which we will be looking at. 3 of these stages is where business may be succeeding. 4 of them is where a business will face significant challenges. The places where a business is mostly likely to fail, because the business will experience significant challenges, will come to it really tests the resilience of that business. We'll see that one of the stages of business success is some sort of an illusion, so there are virtually almost 2 stages of success. And that's what we will be talking about and what is required in terms of leadership, in terms of the team behind to go through these stages in business. So I'll begin very much with the first one, which you put it there so that we can see it more beautifully. I understand the board may not be seen from the back. So the first stage we have there is the early struggle stage. The early struggle stage is the stage just as you launch any organization. Is the first stage you experience. As I said, no matter the form of organization, is the first stage you experience. And at this stage of early struggle, 80% of businesses from statistics worldwide tend to close at this stage. 80%. And it usually happens within the first 3 years of the business. If it's exaggerated, it may reach 5 years. But usually during the first 3 years of the business, and 80% of the businesses close during this stage. 2011, and they checked on the same businesses in 2016, and only 27% were still operating. So this is a research carried out, which I have the research document and all the statistics. So it validates this statistic that 1 out of every 5 businesses fail at this level. Okay, what's happening during the early struggle? The early struggle is the stage where the business is still trying to find a profitable, sustainable model. At this stage, there are 2 things that are so vital for this business to succeed. If these 2 things are absent, it's almost impossible for the business to go through this early struggle stage. The second thing, I will begin by talking about the second thing, which is a profitable, sustainable market. The second thing is at this level, the business must be able to find, or the organization must be able to find a source, a market, people who are able to pay for the services or the product or provide sufficient money for the organization to cover its costs. When the business begins, it's a game of time against resources. As we know, you probably gather some resources to begin that initiative, and these resources are running down. The rents are counting, the bills are counting, right? As the days are going, the resources are running down. You may have some more you borrow at, you have some more you add to, you are eventually running out of resources. And if that organization has not generated a source of revenue to replace the initial resources you brought in or you have been putting in, as time moves on, it will soon run out of resources, and that will be the end of it. Now, when we are talking about a profitable, sustainable market, we are not talking about maybe some businesses start and have one big customer that gives you 4 million a month, and you can. That's not what we are talking about. That's not a market, because that's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable market. Because if you lose that customer, then your business comes to an end. I'm talking about you not having people that buy once, people that are able to buy today, buy tomorrow, provide consistent revenue. Are you able to have that market that can take care of your cost? Because if that market is not there, there is no way. I know of this business in Monaco, we were consulting. They came first month, their sales, the restaurant, it was 4 million francs. They were selling for the first few months, and that was wonderful. Their cost was almost nothing, and they were almost celebrating. I said, no, you have not yet had customers. Let's watch the second month, third month, fourth month. If they are buying consistently, then we can say we have a market. If the first month it was the first time of having pizza in Buea, people just wanted to taste pizza. It's the second month where you start seeing the same person coming again that you know you have something. But this month you cannot celebrate that. So there must be a profitable, sustainable market. So your concern when you are starting this business is, are there people who can provide such revenue. Now, I will go to the second item, which is actually the first. There must be a visionary. There must be a visionary. At this level, I'm introducing one stakeholder. I'm introducing a visionary. Without a visionary, it's very difficult for any business to go through that stage, because the beginning stages are really hard. Really hard. It's the most difficult thing you may want to do with your life. It's like taking your head and hitting on a wall continuously with the intention of breaking through that wall. It's almost seeming impossible. So at that stage, we need somebody who is so passionate, who believes beyond the obstacles that are showing themselves. This is why so many people meet me that like, I have classmates who call me, yeah, I have a 7 million, what kind of business can I start? I said, are you coming from the US to be based here? I said, no. I said, no one. The most frustrated friend took me, put us on first class, Ashuka, to Calabar. And we toured the whole Calabar, watching the different fast food in Calabar. And we flew back, and he told me I had shareholders who are willing to put 180 million francs. Once we begin the Nigerian style fast food joint in Douala, that will sell 17 different species of rice. And they went the whole this and that. And I asked him one question. He was working at the Turkish consulate in Douala. I said, are you going to resign to manage the business? He said, no, we'll just recruit. I said, no, I'm not there. I said, because it's going to fail and we'll run into trouble. I've seen this before. I've seen this before where you get shareholders' money and screw it up just like that. And I would not like to be part of that team again. And he was very frustrated with me. And with time, he came to thank me a lot, because the absence of a visionary, it will be so difficult to generate sufficient momentum to go through. What I advise him is, let's look for somebody who has this kind of idea and we invest that money there. If we got to start something, let's look for somebody who got an idea like this. Then we put the money there. Because you need somebody who is a visionary, who sees that idea as his idea or her idea, because that's the only factor. Who is passionate about that restaurant as you are passionate? Who sees it? So the best way, if you have money and you cannot be there, look for somebody who wants to do that kind of activity, who had it as a dream, who had it as a vision. Then put the money there and be a partner. Than claiming you want to start it without you. It's not going to work by my experience. I've seen this over and over and over again. So a visionary is needed. That person who does not see the world. That person whom at night is up, cannot sleep, is writing stuff. When you see one, you know. Cannot stop talking. People are talking about the swimming and he say, guy, as I was telling you, know, he's bringing back that business idea. Because his sister, just like that, he was not there. He was like, hey, I just thought something. Yeah, so we need that person. So at this stage, a visionary is needed. Now, when that visionary is there and there's a profitable, sustainable market, we eventually graduate from that phase. That's what will give it the momentum to graduate from the early struggle phase, and we'll move to the next phase, which is fun. The next stage is the fun stage. Why do we call it fun? Because it's actually fun. This is the stage that you are able to cover your costs in that organization. You are able to, from what you generate in the organization, you can pay your bills, you can pay your workers. You are no longer bringing money from elsewhere. And at this stage, it's really fun, because any new revenue that comes in is just like is so much excess money. You're already paying your costs. So if somebody gives you 100,000 extra or bring business for 1 million extra, it's just like profit, because it does not add your rent, it does not add your salary, it adds nothing. Everything is fixed. This money is just seen as profit. And when you see a businessman at this level, you know. You see a business at this level, you know. There is some air that begins to come in. Some amount of stress. Yes, I'll just take 2 days at Sept to rest a bit. The language changes, right? A small car is coming. Say Buea, Master. Now God the bless with it. There is some. It has changed. The language has changed. There's some air, the dressing, everything is looking more. So you see a business there. You see a businessman at this level. You know, it's really fun. It's enjoyable because he's beginning to make some revenue is beginning to come in and things. It's not like we are finally there. After all the struggle, finally we have arrived there. And what happens at this stage? You know, someone you buy someone. The time that you see they painted the family house and bought a small plot there. And things are beginning to show up. But why this is beautiful and this is fun, and the organization is enjoying this fun, something is gradually happening in the background. The business is gradually, or the organization is gradually beginning to become complex. Is gradually beginning to become complex in the background. You know, because at this level, the focus is, you know, you have found something that worked before you graduated during early struggle. And now you are just applying this thing that worked and driving the market, and a large number of clients are coming in. These clients come with different level of challenges. You begin to see that a very important client that we were to meet yesterday, we forgot because there were many clients. We had like 47 we were talking with, and somehow the client called that nobody came. So, oh, sorry. Patrick, what happened? You were to be, oh, sorry, boss. Oh, and you know, inconsistencies, some things were very easy. We had a small restaurant, we were selling 3 of us, it was going very well. Now it has grown big. We need to buy good stock in the magazine. We have to start controlling stocks. The staff have gone to 18 staff. Now we are thinking of a payroll, this, that. The taxes are beginning to come in. We have to do inventory management. We have to start thinking how we store food. Purchasing has added. We have to go to Douala to buy goods in bulk and bring. And all these complications, the business is gradually becoming complex. It happens in such a way that is not noticeable. It's not very noticeable. It's somebody says, Mike, you take a frog, you know the story of the frog, put in boiled water, and you start turning on the heat gradually. They say the frog will not recognize until before it realizes it's dead, right? But if you just take a fork and throw in boiled water, it will easily jump out. Yeah, so that's the anecdote often used. I don't know who tried to boil the frog, but well, we use it since. Yeah, so when it's going gradually, it comes so gradually, subtle, that is not noticeable. And before we realize the business is gradually becoming complex, things are gradually becoming challenging, very complex. And the business now begins to become shaky for the visionary. It's like you want things to go left, but things are going right. It's so challenging. It's a very interesting stage. It's a stage that the visionary will catch me at 6 p.m. And we start talking by the road. Then we finally decided, let's look for a chair because we have stood for too long. And the story continues. And before you realize, it's 12 midnight. And he has been talking and explaining, no, married or thief again. You know, thief. Not picking they say, what's that money to go? I know. What's that money to go? All of them. Any man the job do his own. Any man the job do his own. So I don't tire. I don't tire. Yes. The man go close himself, go rest. No trying things. Complain and complain, and when that stage reaches, you hear the story. So you buy for 1 million. 1 million. We keep buy 1 million. We sell 3 million. The finish selling. Even 800,000 is not there. Even 800,000 is not there. So it's a very interesting stage. Now, what's happened is that the organization has gradually become complex. See, that complexity has tipped up to a level that they can no longer find its way. I'll be introducing another stakeholder here. During this stage, usually, in the early stages, another stakeholder come up, which I'll call the operator. The operator, another person comes up to help the visionary in the early stages of fun, and it's the relationship. The visionary is the why person, is the big picture person, is the person who is creative, finds solutions to things, is resilient, and his energy is motivating. The energy is able to get things going. But most visionaries don't have a clue on how they want it to be, how they want to get it done. And the operator is the how-to person. Now, I'm introducing this as a second leadership personality. So the first was a visionary, the second leadership personality that comes into the organization, or which is needed for the organization to succeed, is the operator. The operator is the how-to person. Is the person who knows how to get it done. Before the visionary explains, he has already hit the table. It's okay. He knows, let's move out. I know where to get it. And the visionary begins to say that there's somebody who compliments me, who understands me. It means before he can complete the sentences for the visionary, before the visionary says he has already understood, said it's okay, let's just go get it. And the relationship between the operator and the visionary is what gets the business to succeed in fun. They can improvise their way through almost everything. When these two combinations meet, the why person and the how person, they can solve almost everything. Simon Sinek talks of that when you have the visionary who have his heads in the cloud and the operator who have the legs on the ground, when these two people meet, there's almost nothing they cannot do. Because somehow they solve everything. There was this order that came in, somebody walked in at 6 p.m. that we had to do the order tomorrow at 10 a.m. These two people sit overnight, they get it done. Somehow they get it done, they figure it out. Oh, there are these 10 people coverage we have to do at once. That came in last night. When these two people sit, somehow at 4 a.m. they'll find a solution and call themselves. By 6 a.m. they are there and there's a solution and it's done. They tend to improvise their way through and things gets done. Now, there may be more than one operator because when the business grows, more than one operator may come up. These are the people we call the big dogs. The people that at times they don't have any legal position in the company. They don't have any leadership position in the company. It may be a friend of the visionary that comes in. It may be just be one staff that then the visionary. It's really communication. The visionary feels this person understands me. He feels this person understands. Before this person gets it, and he begins to walk through this person to relate to the other staff. And this person knows too how to interpret what the visionary is saying to the other staff. When the visionary calls the meeting and said, I just signed a big contract. Hey. The operator understands that he means he has started talking with somebody, a contract may come up. They have not really signed any contract. He means he had a discussion with somebody, a contract may come up. The operator understands. He understands the visionary and he can interpret to the staff. The one that when the visionary is shouting that this and that, he's the one that tells the staff, don't worry. Don't leave a mate up. No vex. And he brings that balance to the team and the team is performing and happening well. But when this complexity comes in, the visionary and the operator can no longer improvise their way through. This is the first level of success. But at this level of success, it's difficult to explain what is making us successful. We were just trying many things and somehow we are paying our bills and doing it well. But what we have is not something that we can repeat consistently. It's not something that we can build on to understand the mechanics and multiply. So this is the level the business goes. So when that complexity comes in, operator and visionary cannot improvise again. What they have been doing is improvising. There was no clear formula. They were just, when they meet, they put their heads together, they solve the problem. Now, when this complexity comes in, the business gets to the next stage, which is called the wide water. The wide water is that stage that the business has become, or the organization has become so complex that they cannot improvise their way through. The business has become shaky. Things were seemingly going very well to a point where they are not seeming to go very well again. At the fund level, it was on sales. Focus was sales. Sales is happening. At the wide water level, sales may still be happening, but now the issue is profitability. Though we are doing all these sales and there are a large number of customers coming in, we are not making up. It's not profitable. What we are doing is not really meeting up with our costs. And somehow the business, though the world sees it like people are coming, is doing well, we inside, we know things are not working well. Things are not working well. We are just screwing up here and there. How can we forget our order? No, that man called me like that. I got it on the paper. I put it on the table. I thought that when you come, I will show you, sir. But we had the order, this thing, I forgot. Things just started, you can understand. The business become firefighting, right? It's like you are putting up flames here. Before you finish, a new one is happening. And the big picture man, who is the visionary, start getting bored with what's happening. And he's all about lighting new fire. For the analysis with a new idea. Let's start a new thing. We are trying to sort out this one. We have not finished. He has come out with another idea. Hey, I was in Buea yesterday, just attended this meeting. And there's this beautiful thing we can do. Let's begin this new thing. And we are everywhere and nowhere. Now, a third player naturally comes in at this level, and which is the person we call the processor. So this is the third leadership personality that will come in. So there's visionary operators or many operators, and the processor comes in at this stage. Remember, I'm using the word leadership personality intentionally. Leadership personality. This is very different from having leadership skill set. This is a leadership personality that the team needs to come in at this level before they can say it through. A processor is the system guy. Is the guy who thinks steps. Is the detail-oriented guy. The guy who in most cases thinks in terms of the numbers.
Because you have to deny elements of your personality. Of that visionary personality that was responsible. This is what made you, remember, at the early struggle stage, that's what made you people cross that level. It's because of those your visionary characteristics. Without that, you will never cross this level. At the front stage, the visionary characteristics and the operator characteristics got you to cross that level. Still dominated by the visionary element. No! At the wide water stage, this visionary element is the problem that we cannot cross. And you have to deny elements of that personality and learn to accept what the processor is bringing in. The visionary operator has to start accepting. We have to accept that these are different roles which are all important. It's time to accept that what brought us here cannot take us to the next stage. We need to abandon the things that brought us here. Businesses and organizations are able to reach a level that some people you founded in together, some founding staff, it's at this level that you may have to drop them if you reach next level. People will have to have a frank talk meeting and say, guy, it's no longer, if we will not be accepting this person, because it's against that person trying to bring the change to a level that nothing can work. So one of them needs to go for this to process. You have to have a frank talk. I compensate you. I know all the work you have done. I wish you well. Go succeed in your new endeavor. I'm ready to help that. We may have to separate here before we reach the next level, because like our business will not go to the next level. So another leadership personality comes in here, which is the synergies. Okay, it's not too clear. The another leadership personality come in here. There's visionary, operator, processor. For us to really cross this, it's a synergies leadership personality. So there's a fourth one introduced. This synergies leadership personality that learns to make everybody feel important in the team. That person that brings the balance. The person that cares about people, their feeling, their acceptance in the organization. This is the fourth leadership style that is needed in this organization to succeed. If that's what we call the synergies, it brings a balance between the visionary, operator, and processor so that they can play their role, understand the differences they bring to the team, and understand that we are not asking you to deny your personality. What we are saying is to recognize the contribution of the other leadership style, which is also needed here for us to succeed. This your style is needed, but we also need the other style. So we need to be able to accept our strength and know that each of our leadership style got a problem side. He got the side that is very needed by the organization, and he got the side that because you have this, you automatically struggle in this side. And it means you have to learn to deny this side and accept others. That's when the visionary begins to understand that my idea will not always be the best here. We'll be introducing a concept we call the high quality team decision making. The high quality team decision making is what is needed to drive the business through this level. It reaches that level. Now, in the early struggle, if you enter a meeting room, it does not take you 3 minutes to know who is the visionary, right? Before they talk anything, the visionary is up there. Yes. Yeah, we'll go like this. Yeah, and any question is there to answer. But when the team reaches this high quality team decision making level, you may enter a hall and at the end of the meeting you ask who is the boss here. Because the boss are so late that I have to accept the team, like say, team decision here. It's no longer my decision, it's no longer my way. That my way of seeing things, of wanting things go, cannot get us to the next level. I need to be humble enough at this stage to listen, to know that we need to work on the common decision, not my decision. Because the other people's input balances me, balances my contribution in such a way that we will have the best decision for the organization. And it's really, some visionaries cannot take it. So you talk with them, they begin, they hold it. A few months into it, they say, no. This thing is not working. A few months into it, they cannot hold it. Some visionaries cannot take it. They begin at a few months, they cannot hold it. They bust out and say, no, we go back, we had our visa issue. We are starting this process, we are not understanding the way. Let's go back to how we used to do things, what the way that we do things. Operator say yes, put the team together, we go back and do it the way we used to do it. Now it's a decision. I want to end by saying you have to make a big decision here. Being at fun is good. Some businesses end at fun. There are businesses at fun that make billions. It's not the amount of money you make. You may stay in fun and still make billions. But the other thing is, you have to make a decision of either staying at that level. Have you seen the people that, I learned this a lot from our brothers who are Igbos and the Bamileke people, I learned this a lot. They open their business, they have the capital that they can open 20 stores. But they don't. They stay in the mom and pop business. If I'm not there, my wife is there, my children are there to sell. They have that big magazine behind, they still the 30 years quiet. They are not opening any new branch. They manage at that level. When I go to buy, I close it. I don't want headache. Come back, I open. I sell the one that I can sell. And they are still very profitable and building their houses. It's a stage you may want to be. But if you are making a decision that you want to reach predictable success, in which case I'm saying you want to scale that organization, you don't only want to grow, you want to build the ability that you can grow to any height you want. You can open as many branches you want. If you want to reach that level, that you want to build the ability to go to any dimension you want, then you have to go through that painful process. That painful process of wide waters, and which needs systems and processes. And which most importantly is the team behind. Visionary as operator can never ever put systems and processes. No matter how much they go to school, they go and learn it, they acquire it, they cannot put it themselves. They may put it for another organization, not that one that they are working with. They will not be able to put it to install systems and processes in the organization that they themselves manage. They always need the help of a processor that comes in. So this is a decision we have to make in our organizations. We make small manageable. Even if it's a church, if you have to launch branches, you have to go through the phase of to standardize some things. When I only hear as a consultant, their sermons are the same everywhere you go. I said, because you have not run that number of churches. If you are given 340,000 churches to run, you will standardize things to that level. You may be talking about because you have not run that level. The level they are operating, there must be systems and processes without which everything will go out of hand and it will close. They have to standardize things in the sermons, they require the same sermons to all churches. It's organized because of the number of institutions they have. You cannot reach that level and you are operating out of that. Everybody will be doing something in this church. In the church branch, like you will go to some of your branches, you will not recognize it. You will not recognize what's happening there. Okay, so when you go through that, you are predictable success level. So it takes an interplay of these four roles. Now, at times, this synergist role is another personality that adds and bring balance. But it's usually best when each person can regulate his personality and add the elements of the synergist role. So the visionary operator and processor, each person may regulate his personality and bring in the synergist aspect in such a way that there is that synergist style operating in the organization without it being a separate person. But in some cases, it's a separate person that comes. That is the one that when these three are hitting and then say, you can talk to this person, and bring order, and they work together as a team. And each person understands the differences of the other. Now, when businesses are predictable success, they are scalable. After this, there are three other stages that go quickly. After this, there are three other stages. The treadmill is just now. You see, at the beginning, we operated because of that visionary's chaotic style of doing things. That's why we succeeded. We went to the fourth stage. The operator, the how-to person came in, who complements the visionary, we improvise our way through, and we're succeeding. To cross the wide water, the processes and systems is what made us to succeed. Somebody came in and we were able to regulate and accept this goal, and we began succeeding. Now, because this making us succeed, there is usually a tendency that you want to be doing what worked for you to reach that level. But there's a problem with the treadmill is the level of our systems. Because systems made us to reach predictable success, there's that tendency that we now move into putting over systems. We continue putting systems till it reaches a level. Some of us know what happens to express opinion, right? It reaches a level that to only cash money. Fill this one, fill this one, fill this one, fill this one. Your name is not written well. You go back, cross and that. And when it reaches that level, systems now is a problem. So you have to, this is where some organizations being system engineers, they come to shorten the process. If you see organizations like MTN, Wine, Orange, when they reach that level, they bring system engineers, they see the SIM card process. In the past, it used to be maybe 20 steps. You take a photo, you go, bring your ID, certificate. Now, they are very short time. Somebody can meet you on the road and register your SIM card. They are getting on the over systems and processes to make it work, because if they don't do that, they will enter the training stage, which is a stage that the business is gradually becoming over systematized. Too many systems, too many processes. Because it's what works, we are now overdoing it. If it's not worked on, if the business don't try to break down some of these systems and come back to that optimal level where their systems were just good enough for us to excel, just the essential systems, and then if they don't come back to that level, they will eventually go to the big pot. The big pot is the next stage. At the stage of the big pot means there's business, the systems have been too many, the business has become complacent with the system. They are beginning to love it. And it has lost its ability to self-diagnose. It means that the business has lost the ability to come back. There is no way when it reaches the big ones, it cannot come back. You that come to try to change it, you go and leave us here. We will like it like this. Don't change this now. We have visited some governors, you know what I'm talking about. You cannot change. Right? There are offices that you cannot change. There are organizations that have gone to that level. They are visionary, they put you there, go and make us. We love it like this. We don't want any change. When the business reaches that level, there is nothing that can be done. It may stay there for so many years. You could make 20 years at that level. But it has only one direction out to enter the dead battle where it fails. You always say that it fails, it cannot come back. So at trade meal, it can come back. But when it reaches the big boss, it cannot come back. If you know Kameko, Kamer used to be there, right? When Kamer stayed, there's only one strategy. You need to close it and start it back. That's the only way, and start a new thing. And they started a new thing, Kameko, which has quickly gone through the circle and they sold it back there. He sold it back there so fast, he quickly held his way back there. To this level again, there's nothing that can be done. The only way is to close and start something else. So at that stage, if you see what I think, there is nothing that can be done. Totally nothing. And now for the visionary roles, you see that the visionary operator and processor was what led the business here to predictable success. Those three roles were there. When the business gets into training, when the business gets here, the visionary will go. You see that it's the operator and processor that will be left. If the business reaches training and does not come back, the visionary will come forward. You will leave the organization. Most of the time, you will go start something else. This organization is no longer going through. Yeah, because there is nothing creative here again. There's nothing there. It's all about us respecting some systems that have no value. You want to buy a broom to sweep the office. There are 9 forms. You see this one go to the director office, this one go to the sign, go to the sign. To buy a broom, what useless broom? Let the office stay like that. What's the problem? My house. Office man wants me, I see them out. I will sign form, follow for 2 days. To have 1,200 to buy a broom. So let the thing stay like that. It's no longer interesting. The visionary leaves. And by the time he's getting to the death battle, there's only one person that is left. By the time he gets here, it's only the processor that is left. Even the operator has left. Bad business. There is nothing doing here. What am I doing? That is getting to that death battle. Only the processor is left. And the only solution is close, sell it, start it again. So all this to summarize everything that we have been saying, we have been trying to show the stages every organization or business goes through, and the leadership style, the leadership personality styles that is required for you to go through that stage. I used to feel that it was only an issue of skill set. Skill set can be easily learned. The personality style is more than difficult to change. Because it's a tendency, it's almost an inborn, inherent tendency. That to change is so difficult. No matter how that person attends training and seminars, that tendency is still there that comes up. So it's so difficult. So difficult to change. So while the business is going through different stages, the things that all business consultants know as a problem are usually the effects of the problem. The real problem is the underlying thing that makes things happen. When the right people are there at the right stage, when the right leadership style is there, they will be able to solve whatever problem. The problem is not the practice. The problem is not the competitors. The problem is none of those things. When the right team element is in place, they will figure out how to solve them. The fundamental root cause is usually the team